Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the free hour. It's your boy Trevor Turner, and we're back with another video. We're back with another episode in our ABCs of Tree, the free hour ABCs. And today we're back with another episode in our mindfulness series, the ABCs of mindfulness, where we talk about mindfulness as a path to self-discovery and growth with practical strategies for integrating mindfulness into daily life for success. We've been talking a lot in our series about the benefits of mindfulness. We've been talking a lot about what mindfulness looks like. Obviously, we've talked about the science behind it. We've talked about strategies to get to it. But there was something that I mentioned in a previous video where once you start to learn to recognize your triggers, once you start to learn to recognize when you're out of alignment with yourself and with your mindfulness, when you have gone into a different way than you want to go to, that you need to immediately drop down into things that will bring you back into mindfulness. I know that I mentioned breathing. I know that I mentioned a couple different techniques, but this letter today is where we get to it. When it comes down to and realigning yourself with mindfulness, when it comes down to getting yourself back on track with mindfulness, when it comes back to getting back into and out of your thoughts and into your body, out of your thoughts, away from anxieties, away from depressions, and just back into being mindful. The techniques that we're going to talk about today are going to be super important and crucial for getting back to mindfulness. Do you ever feel like your mind is racing, overwhelmed with thoughts, or disconnected from the present moment? What if I told you there was a simple way to bring yourself back to the here and now? And that's what we're talking about today. See, the letter G for mindfulness stands for grounding. And what we're going to be talking about today is grounding techniques. Grounding techniques are mindfulness practices that help anchor you to the present, reduce anxiety, create mental clarity. There's a man that I've been doing a little bit of research on. His name was Gurdjieff. And Gurdjieff didn't actually, I'm sure he wrote something, but everything that I've been able to find about Gurdjieff has been written by someone else. Has been written by a person who was able to talk to this man and able to study his teachings. One of the things that Gurdjieff liked to talk about a lot was forgetting yourself. One of the things that Gurdjieff liked to talk about was mindfulness, and he based it upon from the book of James. They talk about a man seeing his own reflection in the mirror, walking away from the mirror and immediately forgetting his own face. There are times when you are going to forget yourself. There are going to times that you are going to be taken out of your mindfulness, taken out of your flow, taken out of who you are, knocked off of your pivot, and you are going to be bombarded with all of the worries, all of the cares of the world, all of the things that you don't necessarily want to have to deal with. And those things are going to put you in a state that you don't want to be in, that you shouldn't be in for your own growth, for your own success, for your own self discovery, for your own growth. These things knock you out of mindfulness. And that is what grounding is going to help us with. Grounding is the practice of reconnecting with the present moment by engaging the body, the senses, and the environment. Grounding prevents overthinking and spiraling thoughts. Grounding is like thought stopping, except it's going further than just trying to put that roadblock or put that dam of all these thoughts that are just trying to flood and, like, take over and overwhelm us. It's actual steps, actionable steps that we can do to stop those trains of thought. Why this matters: grounding is a crucial skill for emotional regulation, stress management, and improving focus in daily life. It builds on our previous mindfulness topics by offering some actionable techniques for staying present. Just like I said a little bit earlier, that once you start to recognize your triggers, once you start to recognize when you are getting out of that flow of mindfulness, when you are getting into distractions, or you are getting into being stuck in your thoughts and letting your thoughts run away with you, these actionable techniques that I'm talking about with grounding are going to help you stay present, not be worried about the future, and not get stuck in regretting or ruminating on or cursing or whatever you want to call it the past. So let's explore what grounding is, why it works, and the science behind its effectiveness. They help regulate emotions in stressful situations. They help you to put that pause, and I always talk about this. I put that pause between stimulus and response. They strengthen self awareness and mindfulness skills. One of the things we've talked about from the very beginning of a lot of these different series, whether it was the emotional intelligence series, whether it was a productivity series, or whether it was this series, a mindfulness series, is that these skills, these different states of mind, these different states of being, they can be trained, they can be improved upon, they can be strengthened. There are things that you can do to improve these things in your life. And grounding actually is how you start to do that. It's like going to the gym and lifting weights. It's like running on the treadmill. At the very beginning, you're not going to be able to run for very long, but after you've been doing it, you'll be able to do it for longer. And when you get to the point where you're able to do it for longer, you'll actually start to notice all of the positive health benefits that it has for you. You'll notice that the weight starts coming off. You'll notice that your breathing is getting better. You'll notice your energy levels going up. You'll notice all of these different things. Now, these mindfulness exercises are the same thing. And the reason that I like to say it in that way is because the practice of doing a lot of these different techniques is going to feel like a slog at first. It's going to feel like it's difficult. It's going to feel tough just doing the exercises before you even get the benefits of it. And then you're going to work your way into being able to do all of these different practices for extended periods, or you'll be able to be stronger with all of these different practices. And then you will start to notice all of the benefits that come with it. And it's the same thing that we talked about with the gratitude, with our video last week in emotional intelligence. When it comes to the gratitude, you have to strengthen that perspective, that lens of gratitude in your life before you are able to just wake up in the morning on a shitty day and count 10 things that you're grateful for off top. And then once you get to that point, that's when you start to really see the radiating effects to the other areas of your life. So, when we start talking about these different things, when we start talking about the breathing, when we start talking about the getting in touch with nature, when we start talking about the meditation and everything, it's not going to happen on day one. These are going to be a series of choices that are going to lead you to better results. Is going to be a series of actions, a series of steps that is going to lead you to a better destination than you were at before. So let's talk about some of the scientific insight of it. Grounding in the nervous system. Dr. Stephen Porges, who is a neuroscientist and creator of the polyvagal theory or polyvagal theory, explains that grounding activates the vagus nerve, which calms the sympathetic nervous system, which is the body's fight or flight response, and shifts up into the parasympathetic state, which is rest and relaxation. And in a 2011 study published by Psychoneuroendocrinology, researchers measures vagus nerve activity before and after mindfulness grounding exercises and found a significant reduction in cortisol levels, which is the body's primary stress hormone. We always talk about the science of it. We always talk about that there are things that are backing, like anything that I talk to you guys about is going to be backed up by some type of science. Obviously, when I go into the anecdotal evidence about how like it just was amazing, had amazing effect on my life, yes, those things are anecdotal, but there is scientific backing saying that these grounding techniques, if they don't just completely revolutionize and flip your life upside down and completely change your life, they will at the very least have some type of calming effect on you. And these things are verified. Stress reduction interrupts the cycles of worry. They help the brain refocus. A 2018 study in Frontiers in Psychology found that grounding techniques decrease anxiety by 31% in participants with high stress jobs. It has improved focus and productivity, keeps attention in the moment, preventing distractions. 3, emotional stability. They help manage overwhelming emotions like frustration and fear. Physical health benefits. Research suggests grounding may reduce blood pressure and improve sleep by balancing the nervous system. And a 2010 study in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine found that grounding techniques help regulate heart rate variability, which is linked to better stress resilience. See, when we talk about the benefits of things like grounding and the techniques that I'm going to share with you today, we can talk about people in high stress jobs, how it would decrease their anxiety by 31%. These are people who go into situations expecting that there might be something that could happen. These are people who have to deal with either high levels of money. These are people who have to deal with high levels of danger to either themselves or others. These are people who are constantly at risk of maybe even losing their job. These are people with low job security. And something as simple as grounding techniques help decrease their anxiety by 31%. And when it talks about keeping attention in the moment and preventing distractions, one of the things that you want to be able to get to is to be present, present in the now, in the present. You don't want to be worrying about the future, and you don't want to be ruminating over the past. You don't want to be chewing on all of the past mistakes you made or everything that happened in the past that you don't like, or how all of these decisions led you up to here, or how you're this or they're that, or you're a failure, or whatever the case. You want to be focused fully in the present, fully in the now, fully in where this step that you are about to take right now could possibly take you. Emotional stability. When you are able to manage your overwhelming emotions like frustration and fear, those feelings are always going to be there: fear, frustration, anger, feeling disrespected. When I say that you can choose how to feel about things, what I really mean is that you can choose how you are going to respond to those feelings, right? It's about putting that pause between stimulus and response. And then reducing blood pressure and improving sleep. One of the things that gets to us when it comes to blood pressure is blood pressure. One of the main causes of blood pressure, one of the main causes of heart disease is stress. Grounding helps reduce stress. So we talked about some of the science of it, talked about some of the benefits of it. Let's dive into some of these techniques. Let's talk about physical grounding techniques. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sensory awareness exercise. So when you find yourself knocked out of off your pivot, when you find yourself knocked out of alignment, when you find yourself in a situation where you have been knocked out of your mindfulness, or you find yourself like, hey, I've forgotten what I look like, I've forgotten where I'm trying to go, I've forgotten my goals, I've forgotten my present, I've forgotten my reflection, I've forgotten myself and found myself running on this autopilot that was not necessarily even based upon the place that I wanted it to go, but based upon this lower level of vibration, which is based upon these anxieties, these fears, these worries, which is based upon all of those different things. This is where you drop down into these grounding techniques, things like identifying 5 things you see, identifying 4 things you feel, identifying 3 things you hear, identifying 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you taste. So now if I were to go and I was just, okay, I see a light, I see a camera, I see a desk, I see a comb, I see a mat that I work out on. 4 things I feel. I feel air on me. I feel the shirt on my skin. I feel my necklace on my neck. I feel my bracelet on my wrist. 3 things I hear. I can hear myself, obviously, in the headphones. I can hear water running. I can hear my dog in the back. 2 things I smell. I smell the Febreze air freshener I just sprayed. I smell the microphone, which smells like the toothpaste I use. 1 thing I taste. I take the toothpaste I use because even though I'm on camera, I brush my teeth right before I do this. And why this works, what this does is it activates multiple sensory pathways. It breaks overactive thought patterns. What it does, this is a shock to the system. This is like those paddle boards when you're like, I don't know if the people that they use those on are like flatlining or in cardiac arrest or whatever. This is something that shocks your system and completely shifts you away from those things. It's like if you are able to bring yourself into thinking about everything else that's going on and not thinking about those anxious thoughts that are running through your mind, or not thinking about how you're going to afford this bill, and not thinking about when you're going to get that money that somebody told you they were going to get you, or not thinking about um, why this is going on, or why your legs are starting to feel numb, or why you're feeling like my left arm is starting to, or why you're feeling like, damn, like last time I talked to my mom, she wasn't doing too good, or and you're just starting to worry about these things. It's like, you know what? It it's an active physical act that stops those thought processes. It's like a dam just putting those things in the way of those floods that are trying to flood over everything. And the evidence for this in the 2015 study in Mindfulness Journal found that engaging multiple senses reduces intrusive thoughts by 43%. That's half. That's damn near half. If you are able to shock yourself, if you are able to douse yourself in the present moment, the things that are around you, the things that are touching, the things that you can smell, the things that are in your presence in the present, it can reduce those things by half. The next thing we talk about for the physical is body scan meditation. This is where we talked, and we've talked about a little bit about this before, but this is where you mentally scan the body from the toes to the head, noticing the sensations in your body without judgment, without worry. This is something that you do to get yourself out of your mental and back into the present. So, like, well, the way I do it from my hands up through my arms, my chest. And the way that I try to do it, I do it from Eckhart Tolle's book. And Eckhart Tolle tells you to really like drop down into a mental, but without visualizing it, without trying to make it an image, but like trying to feel it instead of seeing it in your mind. You're trying to feel, the way the air touches your fingers. You're trying to feel the energy in your hands. You're trying to feel the way that the blood is running through your fingers, the way that, it would be running through your little capillaries and veins and arteries and stuff in your hands. And you try to feel the way that the air touches it from the air conditioning. You would try to feel all of those things. And then you would move to your arms and feel the same things without seeing it. And you would just focus on that one area until you just feel the energy of it to where it just feels like a pulsating energy, like almost a light, except not visualized, but you just feel that one part to the exclusion of every other part of your body. And then you go all the way down in through your chest, your core, your hips, your legs, down into your toes. And then you come back up and you go into your shoulders, your neck, your head. And you come up the back if you went down the front, or if you went down the back from your arms, you come up the front all the way until you're up at the top. And then you try to feel your entire body. And that's all you feel. And then the thing is, you're not judging the way that any of those things in your body feel. You're not saying, oh, you know what, my knees are creaky, or you know what, oh, my elbows hurt, or I got pain and I got soreness from the gym. You're just noticing that those sensations are there. And you're not putting any type of meaning to them. You're not putting any type of judgment on them. You're not calling yourself old because your knees are creaky. You're not calling yourself weak because your chest is sore and you didn't even go that hard the other day. You're not calling yourself any of these things. You're not trying to put any worry or any type of a prescription or solution to any of the things that are going on with your body. You're just noticing all of those things. And what it does, it takes you away from here. It keeps you from having been latched on to anything that might be going on in there. Takes you back into the present. And this increases interoception, which is awareness of body sensations, which reduces disassociation and stress. So those are some of the physical ways that you can ground. Let's talk about sensory-based grounding. Cold water therapy. Splash cold water on your face or hold an ice cube in your hand. Cold exposure triggers the mammalian dive reflex, slowing heart rate, calming the nervous system. A 2021 study in biological psychology showed that cold exposure increased parasympathetic nervous system activity, reducing panic and anxiety systems. It's just another shock to the system. It's just another thing that is going to have you pulled out of your thoughts. And it's actually by a reflex that we have within us that has been in there for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. Splashing the cold water on your face, holding the ice cube in your hand. It's going to shock the system. Aromatherapy and deep breathing. Use lavender, peppermint, eucalyptus essential oils while breathing deeply. Certain scents have been shown to activate olfactory receptors linked to emotional regulation. One of the things that I've noticed when, like certain teas or whatever, just the smell of it has you like feeling in a different way. It has you feeling either more relaxed or it has you feeling more energetic. If you ever take baths like with certain different types of scents, they just relax your muscles. You ever like you're just super sore, so you might take a bath with a certain type of scent, and it just might make you feel just that much better. It might make you feel that much more relaxed. Lavender, peppermint, or eucalyptus oils are definitely things that can help you when you need to ground and get back to mindfulness. Let's talk about some mental grounding techniques. Box breathing. This is the 4-4-4-4 method. This is the one that I've talked about before. They say the Navy SEALs use this one. This is the one that just really snaps you back into it. And all it takes is 4, 8, 12, 16 quick seconds. And it's just as simple as this. You inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds, and then repeat it. This one is practiced by the Navy SEALs. It's for stress control. It's for performance under pressure. A 2017 study in cognitive therapy and research found that controlled breathing reduced emotional reactivity and improved mental clarity. One of the things that I know, the reason why I believe that this works for me is because when I start to get into an anxious state or a depressed state or agitated state, or I start to notice that my anger is getting to me, it's just more than about, whether my fists are clenched up or whether my neck is starting to get stiff or whether I'm like this. It's just that I notice my breathing becomes really shallow, along with, my jaw being clenched up and everything like that. One of the things that happens is that if you are able to take back control of your breathing and control that breath and control the pace of your breathing, to where it's linked to a mental count. Not only does it shock your system and get you away from them thoughts, but what it does is it just releases this tension. It releases like the pressure that is. This is when the pressure has gone just from beyond mental and you start to feel it in your body. You do that box breathing technique. You drop down into that breathing technique and you just it alleviates that pressure. Now, it doesn't change your situation, obviously, but it gives you a new perspective. It gives you a new way of looking at things. It gives you a new ability to maneuver real quick mentally so that you can take on whatever pressure situation you got going on. Counting backwards by sevens. Counting backwards by sevens forces the mind to focus, breaking looping thoughts and overthinking. Now, this one is, for me, it's hit or miss because sevens is like to me is kind of difficult unless you are just like a super math guy or a football fan or someone who's just really good with your multiplication tables and things like that because it wants you to count backwards by sevens. I would even suggest counting upwards by sevens, 7, 14, 21, 28. 35, things like that. Because what'll happen is that it's just challenging enough to break your mind out of whatever it was thinking of, but it's not so challenging that you will get mad at yourself for not being able to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, and this one might be like a culturally biased thing a little bit too. It's kind of like having to say your ABCs backwards and when they would stop you for DUI stops. Like, I'm a pretty intelligent dude. I can't say my ABCs backwards. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. That's stone cold sober. I haven't had anything in my system for years now. And I randomly will think about that because I'll see videos or whatever on my social media. And I'll randomly think about, like, I don't think I could do that right now. And I'll just be sitting there completely sober, alert, maybe had some little coffee. So I'm even like more mentally alert and I still can't do it. So I don't know, like, there might be people who wouldn't be able to do sevens backwards, but you could do seven going up. You could do threes. You could do fours. Do fives backwards. That one might be a little bit easy. 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, 0. And that is like just challenging enough to break you out of that mental, forcing your mind to focus, breaking thoughts those looping thoughts. Well, what about this happens? Well, what if that happens? Well, what if this happens? And you're just like, well, that's not going to happen. Well, what if it does? It's like, well, it's not going to happen. What if it does? If it does happen, this is going to happen. If that happens, this is going to happen. Then everything's going to fall apart. It's all going to go to shit. And to break that loop, you might just say, you know what, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30. And if you can do sevens, great. Do it. Don't do, something that's so challenging that'll make you mad at yourself for not being able to do it. Because then you'd be like, you know what? I'm incapable of counting fucking backwards by three. I deserve whatever the fuck I'm I'm anxious about, right? Don't get yourself in that mode. So now let's move on to environmental grounding techniques. Let's talk about earthing. This is something that, a lot of people that I know, they swear to it. They swear by this shit. They swear by earthing so much. And earthing is just simply being like physically connected to nature. It's like walking barefoot or laying in, the grass, sand, soil. For me, it would have to be sand. I couldn't do grass. I could probably do soil. Get out there in the dirt, but like fertile dirt, not just regular dirt. Um, Walking barefoot on the sand on the beach definitely does this for me. Grass, I can't do it. My skin's allergic to grass. I start itching. It makes the anxiety worse. But if you can get out there in the grass and roll around in the grass or roll around in the sand. See, I'm itching just thinking about this grass. And roll around in the sand, roll around in the soil, get it between your fingers, get it between your toes. Getting connected to it. Because research published in the Journal of Environmental Health in 2012 found that earthing lowered inflammation and it improved mood regulation in participants with chronic stress. Now, one of the things that I like to think about when it comes to earthing, according to the Cherokee, we all have two spirits within us. We all have an earth spirit and we all have a higher spirit. And our earth spirit is the one that is bound to this earth, it is connected to this earth. Our higher spirit is kind of what makes us a human being, though. Our higher spirit is the one that has all the creativity in it. The higher spirit is the one that can like self actualize, right? But if you are able to connect again with your ground spirit and let your ground spirit connect with the world and connect with the nature it came from, it just, it does wonders for you. People with chronic stress actually lowered their inflammation and improved mood regulation. Next is a mindful observation exercise. Spend 2 minutes observing the details of a tree, building, or object in your surroundings. And why this one works, it just simply shifts focus away from worries into sensory perception. Just focus on that one thing and only on that one thing and think about everything you notice about that thing for 2 whole minutes. It will break you out of the looping thoughts. It's like that thought stopping thing again. So let's talk about how to incorporate some of these things into our daily life. One of the things that I like to do is in the morning I do my meditation. So in my mornings I do like a either a box breathing where I'm just breathing and thinking what I want or watching my thoughts as they go by, or I'm doing like a body scan meditation to basically be able to start the day aligning my thoughts the way that I want to align them, if that makes sense. And the way that I normally choose to align them with in the mornings is with gratitude. That's normally what I choose to do is I do my box breathing, I do my body scan meditation, and I focus on gratitude as I've taken myself out of my thoughts. And it helps me to pick and choose the thoughts that I allow myself to have in that moment. But here's some good ways for you to maybe start doing this. You can obviously start with that, or you can start your day with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding method, or the deep breathing. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding method helps if you aren't somebody who practices a lot of gratitude, but it helps you to start your day with intention and mindfulness because it doesn't just instead of waking up and looking immediately at your clock and saying, "Oh shit, I gotta get up and I gotta be here within an hour and a half. I gotta get up and I have to be in the shower and be done in 30 minutes. I have to get up and I have to be here or I have to be walking toward the bus by this time. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to eat. I don't know if this is gonna be able to happen. When I get to work, this is what I'm gonna have to do. This thing was due today. This thing is due tomorrow. This thing." And instead of starting your day like that, start your day off with, okay, what are 5 things? Okay, I see my cat over there. I see my dog over there. I see my fan rotating over there. I see my clock over here. I see my phone on my side. And moving on to those things. It shuts those thoughts down to where you are able to decide what it is that you want to think about at the beginning of your day. Where you start with a deep breathing. It does the same thing. During stressful moments in the afternoons, cold water therapy, box breathing. Throwing some cold water on your face when you are in the midst of your day, when you are in the midst of things like maybe not going uh, every way that you want them to go, it does wonders. It just makes you feel better. Box breathing, it drops you out of those thoughts, drops you out of those worries and into mindfulness. And then your evening wind down, maybe do the deep breathing or do a body scan meditation before bed. You can throw all sorts of different ways to bring yourself back into mindfulness all through the day. Maybe on the weekends you want to go, try to go somewhere where you can just kick your shoes off and walk with your feet in the grass, in the soil, in the sand. If you live in agriculture areas, try to go somewhere where you can put your feet in some soil. If you live by the beach, try to go put your feet on some sand. If you got grass, if you got a park that you can get to, try to put your feet in some grass. Sun, let that sun kiss you, let the sun touch you. So let's talk about overcoming common challenges of grounding. One, I don't have time. That's maybe the main excuse for a lot of these different things that people talk about. I don't have time. A lot of these practices take under 5 minutes. Like we literally went through a majority of these practices right here. And the most amount of time in this video was me talking. It wasn't going through those practices. They can be integrated into the routine. You have to go to the bathroom throughout the day. When you go use the restroom, throw some cold water on your face. You can do a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique as you're getting up out of your bed. The same amount of time when you're working yourself up into this feverish pitch of anxiety in the morning. Damn, I gotta do this today. Damn, my day gonna look like this. Damn, my day gonna look like that. You can find 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 things. I don't feel immediate results. This is something I talked about at the very beginning of the video. Like mindfulness, like working out, like with dieting, like with anything else beneficial. These are a series of conscious choices. These are a series of conscious efforts that work best with consistency over time. And one of the things that you're going to notice is that you are going to get better at doing the grounding activity before you start to see the results. It's like one of the things that I noticed with working out, and obviously I don't look exactly the way I want to look, but I didn't start even necessarily seeing any results until I started to be able to do the exercises properly, if that makes sense. Like you had to be able to make your body move or make the weight move or hold yourself steady in a certain way to be able to do the exercise properly before I was able to even see any type of results. It's the same thing with a lot of these things. Like you are going to have to get good at doing the things before you start getting the results that come from doing these things well. And I forget to use these techniques. Set phone reminders. Pair groundings with daily habits. Just like I talked about when you're in there in the bathroom every afternoon, because you're going to use the bathroom in the afternoon. Throw some cold water on your face. In the morning when you're brushing your teeth, do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. At night, put a phone reminder on your thing. Do a quick body scan. You can do a quick body scan while you're listening to your TV show. You can do a quick body scan on the commercial because every streaming service got ads now. So that's not an outdated reference because when we used to have cable or, in prison, we used to have our antenna or whatever the case, everything got commercials on it. I was thinking like, damn, I'm going to get out and nothing's going to have commercials because, when I got locked up, we didn't really have commercials on every fucking streaming service. But now you got commercial on every streaming service. When that commercial come on, you can hit a body a body scan meditation to the McDonald's commercial or to the Burger King dude singing or whatever the case. You can hit that thing. Let's talk about the long-term impact of grounding. Grounding strengthens self-awareness, strengthens emotional intelligence. It reduces reactivity in stressful situations. It enhances focus and mental clarity for work, school, and creativity. A 2019 study from the American Psychological Association found that individuals who practiced grounding techniques had greater resilience and cognitive function in higher pressure environments. When it comes to mindfulness, and we go back to Gurdjieff a lot of times would talk about having to force yourself into what he called a proper mindfulness, but then also knowing that being in that level of mindfulness all the time was not necessarily something that you could just do on autopilot. But when you were able to get there, when you were able to do it, you didn't necessarily see everything else with just this amazing and blinding and just brilliant light, but you were able to remember what you looked like. You were not the person who looked at yourself in the mirror, went away, and immediately forgot your own reflection, but you were able to carry yourself through everything, and that was self awareness. You are able to regulate, you are able to manage, you are able to be the one in control of, or you will be able to be the one who is able to ride the waves of your emotions. You are the one who is able to express. You are the one who is able to receive. You are the one who is able to dictate when and where those emotions kicked in. That's emotional intelligence. And you were able to put a pause between stimulus and response, which reduces reactivity and actually makes you into a proactive person. And it enhances focus and mental clarity because when we talk about the growth mindset, every everything that you got within you up here, you can improve upon. Like the amount of time that you can focus on something, the amount of mental clarity that you have for something is not like the end all be all of what you're going to have for the rest of your life. Up until you start to get like 68, 70 years old, like, yeah, there's a little bit of a drop off, but you are like mentally going up. You can mentally keep going, going, and going, and going, and going until you get to that age when you obviously you can't continue to rise, you're actually going to start to decline. But mentally, if you are working at yourself and your focus and your mental clarity, you can continue to rise until you can't no more. You're not basically like, oh, I wasn't able to focus in high school. I'll never be able to focus in my life. That's the shit that I'm talking about. And that's it. And that's it. What I want you guys to try and do this week, what I want you guys to try and do anytime that you've watched this video, so I want you to try one of these grounding techniques this week. I want you to see how it impacted your focus and your stress levels. Let me know in the comments which one worked best for you. Let me know in the comments which one came easiest for you. Let me know in the comments which ones you found the most interesting or you found the most like, you know what, this is starting to do something for me. Which ones that you want to get better at and which ones you know are just not going to work for you. Let me know in the comments. All right. This has been your boy Tree. This has been our mindfulness series. We talked about what mind grounding is. We've talked about why it matters. We've talked about some science behind it. We've talked about a whole bunch of different grounding techniques. In the rush of daily life, grounding reminds us to pause, breathe, and simply be. I invite you to be today. I invite you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed already, if you like the video, please like the video. Obviously, leave a comment on them. Leave a comment about any grounding techniques you do. And, you know, join this journey with us. Join this journey with us with the free hour so that hopefully, just like me, you can have an hour that changes your life today. All right? Thank you so much for watching. Deuces.